Hello Chelsea fans, welcome back again. Victor Osimhen stood by the window of his apartment, staring out at the silent night sky, feeling the weight of a decision only a few footballers ever get to make. The world around him always seemed to move fast, full of noise, pressure, expectations and opportunities. But for the first time in months, everything felt strangely quiet. In that quietness, one thought kept repeating itself in his mind. Chelsea. January. New beginning. Osimhen had reached a point where his football journey felt like it was entering a new chapter. He had grown from a young, hungry striker into a full, complete forward capable of leading any team in the world. His power, pace, finishing, movement and spirit were things that could change the destiny of a club. He knew that. The world knew that. And more importantly, Chelsea's manager Enzo Maresca knew it better than anyone. For months, Chelsea had followed him closely. Not because they lacked talent, not because they were desperate, but because they understood that a player like Osimhen does not simply arrive. He transforms. His career had been built through resilience, through pain, through persistence. Every sprint, every header, every challenge he conquered was a reminder of how he came from nothing and grew into a global football force. But there was a practical football reason behind Chelsea's push too, one that was impossible to ignore. Liam Delap, the promising young striker who had become part of Chelsea's long-term plan, had a worrying pattern that the club could no longer overlook. As a number 9, Delap possessed potential, strength and talent, yet his body betrayed him too often. Injuries came frequently, sometimes without warning, sometimes during a simple sprint. Chelsea saw the danger clearly. Building the entire attack around a striker who could not stay consistently fit was a huge risk. And so the solution became obvious: a strong, relentless, battle-tested striker. A striker who had carried teams before, a striker who would never be intimidated, a striker with the mentality of a warrior, Victor Osimhen. Chelsea's need for him was not emotional, it was structural. Delap was good, but unreliable physically. The team needed a number 9 who could play every week and deliver goals at the highest level. They needed someone to lead the line with authority, stability, and experience. Someone who could carry the responsibility that Delap, through no fault of his own, often had to abandon because of injuries, and Osimhen understood that demand perfectly. He knew what it meant to be a number 9. It wasn't just a position, it was pressure, expectation, frustration, joy, responsibility, and glory all packed together. A number 9 lived at the center of everything. They were blamed when things went wrong and celebrated when things went right. They were measured by goals and judged by moments. He had lived that life for years, and he was ready for more. When Chelsea first made their interest known, Osimhen did not react immediately. He never jumped into decisions. Instead, he spent days thinking, analysing, listening. He ran through every scenario in his head. He imagined himself playing at Stamford Bridge. He imagined hearing the roar of the crowd after scoring a winning goal. He imagined the weight of the blue shirt, the expectations, the pressure, the glory. The more he imagined it, the more it felt real, the more it felt right. Chelsea wanted him because he could bring something no one else in the squad possessed: guaranteed firepower. A striker who didn't shy away from tough games. A striker who played with heart and aggression. A striker who could make a difference when the match looked impossible. For a manager like Maresca, whose style relied on structure, movement, and intelligent attacking play, Osimhen was the perfect centerpiece. Maresca's admiration for him was pure football admiration. He had studied the striker closely. His runs behind defenders, his ability to create something from nothing, his aerial strength, his aggression in duels, his mentality after losing the ball, his instinct for goals, and most importantly, his consistency. This was not a player who delivered only sometimes. This was a striker who delivered every time he was called upon, regardless of the stage, the pressure, or the opponent. Chelsea had invested heavily in the squad, but one thing was missing: a dependable elite number 9. Delap was part of the future, but could not be trusted physically for the present. The club could not risk their season collapsing because their striker picked up another injury. They needed someone to lead today, not tomorrow. And Osimhen was that man. Meanwhile, Osimhen also understood that this could be the perfect time for a new challenge. He had grown beyond his current surroundings. He wanted a league where defenders were stronger, faster, more aggressive. He wanted battles. He wanted pressure. He wanted to feel the fire of Premier League stadiums, where every match felt like a final. The January window offered him exactly that: an escape, a challenge, an opportunity. In private moments, he imagined how things would unfold. He saw himself walking into the Chelsea dressing room for the first time. He imagined the atmosphere of Cobham training ground. He imagined Maresca greeting him with a confident smile, saying, "You are the missing piece." He imagined scoring his first goal for the club and pointing to the badge. He imagined lifting the fans with his energy and passion. And more than anything else, he imagined stability. He wanted to play week after week without chaos around him. He wanted to lead a project where his qualities were fully appreciated, where his role was clear: be the number 9, be the finisher, be the leader. Chelsea's sporting directors presented him with a detailed plan for his development and leadership at the club. They explained how he would be used, how Maresca would build parts of the attack around him, how he would be the anchor of the front line. They did not promise him luxury. They promised him responsibility. They promised him purpose. They promised him a stage big enough for his ambition. Slowly, the idea evolved from a possibility to a desire, from a desire to a dream, from a dream to a decision. The January move became the right move, and so began the delicate process of finalizing everything behind the scenes. Contracts were drafted, schedules were arranged, meetings were held, conversations went late into the night. On Osimhen's side, there was no fear, only anticipation. He knew that big decisions require courage, and he had never lacked courage. It was courage that carried him from the streets of Lagos to the biggest stages in Europe. It was courage that allowed him to rise again every time he was knocked down, and now it was courage pushing him toward London. Chelsea moved with purpose, understanding that the deal had to happen quickly before the window grew tight. They did not want surprises. They did not want hesitation. They wanted Osimhen in blue as soon as the window opened. Maresca, meanwhile, could hardly contain his excitement. He kept studying clips of Osimhen, imagining how the striker would fit into the team's patterns. He pictured the runs, the combinations, the goals. He knew that this signing could define the club's entire season. A team without a reliable striker becomes unstable in the toughest fixtures. A team with Osimhen becomes a threat to anyone. The more Maresca thought about it, the more convinced he became. Osimhen wasn't just a signing, he was a solution. He was insurance. He was leadership. He was a symbol that Chelsea were ready to fight again. When the final agreement was reached, Osimhen felt a wave of emotions: pride, relief, excitement, and a touch of fear, the good kind of fear that makes athletes push harder. He knew Chelsea was not a small club. He knew expectations would be enormous, but that was exactly why he chose them. He didn't want easy. He wanted pressure, responsibility, and the chance to prove once again why he was one of the most devastating strikers in world football. In the days leading to his move, he trained harder than ever. He visualized everything: the ball hitting the net, the cheers, the challenges, the headlines. He imagined Delap recovering from injury and training alongside him, not as rivals, but as teammates pushing each other. He knew Delap's injuries had opened the door, but he respected him. He understood how hard it was to be a striker whose body betrayed him. He promised himself he would carry the weight that Delap could not. And so, when the calendar turned and January arrived, the move that had once felt like a whisper became reality. Victor Osimhen to Chelsea. A union built on necessity, ambition, and belief. A striker ready to lead. A club ready to rise. A manager ready to unleash him. The story was no longer about transfer rumours. It was about destiny. A new chapter. a new kingdom to conquer, a new challenge for a warrior who had never feared anything. Victor Osimhen was ready, Chelsea was waiting, and the January window became the moment everything changed.